Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra. Well, with the rising costs of healthcare and medical expenses, now more and more people are getting aware about the importance of having the right health cover. However, millennials, perhaps in their early 30s, often struggle to arrive at this decision of buying the right health insurance cover for themselves. Now, this confusion could actually stem from a plethora of options out there. There are also several questions on what should be the right sum insured that you should have in your health insurance cover. What are the rider options that you must know about, and also the policy pricing. Now, if you also have these questions that have been bothering you, preventing you from buying that right health cover for yourself, we'll help you understand everything that you must know before buying the right health insurance cover for yourself or for your loved ones. Joining in to help us with all of this and much more is a very special guest with me on the show. I have Siddharth Singhal, who is the head Health Insurance Renewals at PolicyBazaar.com. Siddharth, welcome to the show and thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for Sakshi for having me here. Happy to answer all the questions.
Great. So, Siddharth, I want to kickstart by asking you first and foremost, perhaps if you could tell us if the first step to finding out, the right cover for yourself, the first step is to first find out whether you want to go for a family plan or for an individual plan. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And that's a very important question. I think before answering that, what we need to understand is what is a family floater plan and what is an individual plan.
Right.
A family floater plan, in a very simple terms, protects all the members in the family if they're enrolled into it. So it's like a basic one single plan which covers, maybe the husband, the wife, if there are kids in there. So that one single sum insured and one single premium that needs to be paid for that one family floater plan. Individual plan, as the name suggests, is just one plan and a single sum insured, which is there only for an individual member. So if you are somebody who's married, then it makes sense to go for a family floater plan if you are married or have kids in the family. So obviously, to give the coverage to entire family, one must go for a family floater plan. But
Okay.
yes, if you're not married yet, then definitely individual plan is something that you can look forward to.
Okay. And now the second question that pops up in most of the people's minds before buying the insurance is that how much should be the sum insured? And how does one really decide what is enough for their cover as well? So how does one arrive at that question and answer?
Okay, so I think that's a very important question. So ideal answer is, and what one should look at is a 1 crore sum insured. The
Okay.
good thing is, in recent times, a lot of plans have come up wherein, two members in the family, let's say a husband and a wife, can get a 1 crore sum insured for maybe about 15,000 rupees. So that's a very, high sum insured, which, protects you from all the possible scenarios. We've seen cases in many times COVID or, very grave illnesses such as cancer, etc., wherein the cost of treatment runs into maybe 40, 50 lakhs or even higher in a lot
Yeah.
of cases. So I think the objective of the insurance is to protect yourself from all such possible scenarios. And now there are plans wherein you can get 1 crore sum insured at a very lower price. So what my recommendation is to all the viewers is to basically go for a higher sum insured and kind of protect yourself and your loved ones from all possible eventualities.
Okay, so perhaps a 1 crore sum insured would be enough to cover your family from eventualities, and that would perhaps cover you for the maximum kind of coverage or expenses that you incur at hospitals, if at all. Also, many people use pricing, as the criteria of choosing the health plan. But I want to understand if that is the right approach, and if not, then what are the other things that one must find out before agreeing to buy a policy cover from a particular insurer?
Okay, that's a very pertinent question, Sakshi. Yes, a lot of people maybe understand that if it's a lower pricing, then maybe the product is better. But
Yeah.
see, typically one must look at a couple of factors, while purchasing their health insurance or renewing their health insurance. First and foremost is if there are any kind of sublimits in the plan. For example, you can take if there's any kind of a room rent capping. Is your plan allowing you to take any possible room in the hospital, because obviously that may be the scenario when you get hospitalized, and we've seen during COVID times the room of your choice may or may not be available. So I
Yeah.
think that is whether there is any kind of a capping or not. That is one. The second is whether, is there any kind of a co-payment, whether the plan is covering you for all the expenses, either it is, maybe a claim of maybe 10,000 rupees or up to the sum insured 5 lakh rupees. So these two major things are something that one must look at. Though with these, the pricing does reduce, but eventually when the customer goes out to make a claim, they need to shell out certain money from their own pocket first. So maybe upfront, what looks as a higher pricing but obviously comes with a better benefits, is something that is very much recommended. And because that's the reason, customers buy the health insurance in the first place for,
Yeah.
so that when
Yeah.
there is a claim, the health insurance policy comes to our rescue to pay those claims. So
Right.
pricing is not the only criteria to answer that. There are other factors which we just spoke about the claim settlement ratio of the insurer,
Hmm.
about whether the claim is will be paid in full or not, uh,
Yes.
and whether is there any kind of a capping that you can take only particular type of room only, or particular, rent of the hospital room itself. So these are certain, elements which one must very carefully look at before, deciding on the right health insurance policy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Extremely important points right there to consider before you go ahead and purchase that policy cover for yourself, because there are things that you must know about, even the experience of the insurer at this point in time. Just like how Siddharth pointed out, the claim settlement ratio, all of this will help you understand that in case you end up using the policy, then will you be adequately covered, and will your policy cover you for everything that you actually aspired it to cover yourself too. Now, I wanted to understand there are a lot of riders when it comes to health insurance policies. Help our viewers understand what is the importance of these riders. Should everybody go for a rider? Is there a need for topping up as well with these riders, your basic policy cover?
Okay, so riders are basically kind of attachments that you can do, while purchasing a health insurance policy or renewing your health insurance policy. See, riders basically give you the flexibility to modify the health insurance cover as per your need. For example, if your current plan covers only a room of example 5,000 rupees, just a very simple example, you can opt for a room rent, a waiver rider, wherein if you pay
Hmm.
a little extra premium, then that clause gets kind of nullified. So
Okay.
similarly, if there are riders such as, pre-existing disease rider, for example, in a normal health insurance policies, pre-existing diseases are covered typically 3 or 4 years after the policy start date. But
Hmm.
if you pay certain little extra premium, then that PED waiting period, those waiting periods
Yes.
will basically reduce to maybe either 1 year or maybe from the next day itself. So these riders are very useful, and from a case-to-case basis, they, give the lot more flexibility to the customers to customize the plan as per their need.
Hmm.
Just for instance, one more thing, a lot of insurance policies do not cover consumables. When I say
Hmm.
consumables, it means the, gloves, the PPE kit, etc.
Yes.
We have seen, during the time of COVID, those are usually not covered. So if you pay, let's say, certain little extra premium, then all those costs are also covered, when you're going to make a claim. So that these are the importance of riders, which kind of help the customers have a end-to-end coverage of their health insurance.
Right. In fact, you answered partly what my next question was, which I wanted to understand about the waiting period. Not many of us are aware about the waiting period also when we go ahead and buy that policy cover for ourselves. Could you help us understand how does one really get to know what is the waiting period right here? What is the minimum waiting period that one should go for, and the maximum one that one should agree to? Because otherwise, it will not be of any use also to get the policy if the waiting period is too large.
Correct. So essentially, what does waiting period mean is, for those particular set of illnesses or for those particular set of scenarios, the insurance company will not be liable to pay the claim. But once those are served,
Hmm.
then you get cover under those diseases. So broadly, there are three types of waiting periods. One is the initial waiting period, which is typically of 30 days. So let's say if you buy a policy today, for the next 30 days, you cannot claim for any kind of illnesses except
Okay.
for if it's a claim related to accident, right? So
Hmm.
that's a typical 30 days waiting period, majorly there with all across the insurance companies.
Right.
That's the first one. The second one is a specific disease or slow growing disease waiting period. What it means is basically there are certain kind of diseases, example hernia, cataract, etc. And there is a list of diseases which are typically covered about 2 years after the first policy purchase, right?
Okay.
Why it's that because these diseases are typically known to be growing at a small at a slower pace in the body. So if somebody was already suffering it basically covers them after 2 years or 3 years. The third and the final one is the pre-existing disease waiting period. So if somebody is already suffering from, let's say, diabetes or hypertension or any other ailment already.
Yeah.
So what the insurance company states is, that after 3 years or 4 years, depending on the policy to policy. So any claim related to these particular diseases, which are declared at the time of the first purchase itself. So after you've served 3 years or 4 years in the policy, then any claim related to those illnesses will be
Right.
covered. So it's very important for the customers to understand, first of all, overall health situation for themselves and
Yeah.
understand these three waiting periods also.
Okay. In the end, I also wanted to understand, if you could point out some three things that a new buyer of an insurance policy should go and, check out before going ahead and buying a policy for oneself. Something that, the health insurance companies may not be telling the policy buyers at this point in time. Something that they should check on their own before going ahead and buy.
Okay, I think that's a very, very important question because I think what we see is a lot of surprises coming in. But I think it's very simple and easy also to understand. One is to understand any kind of a co-payment clause, which we
Okay.
spoke about, whether the policy that you are purchasing or buying, does it cover 100% of the claims? If it doesn't cover, what are the things which it doesn't cover for, right? That is the first and the foremost thing. The second thing is to understand whether the, your policy actually has a list of network hospital, cashless network hospital, because that becomes very important, because larger the cashless network hospital, the better it is for the customers because they don't need to pay out of their own
Right.
pocket. The third and the final thing which we spoke about earlier is the no room rent capping or no kind of sublimit within the plan itself.
Yeah.
So really, if there is no plan sublimits, so you can take up to maybe single private AC room or any room that the policy allows, and it's not limited to the rent of the room itself. So I think these are the three major factors one must definitely look at, and understand in the policy document, in the policy brochure, while buying the health insurance policy.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you so much, Siddharth, for bringing up to speed to all our viewers about health insurance, the guide to buying the right health insurance cover for themselves, the optimum cover that they need in the current times when the medical expenses are rising. Thank you so much. It's been really helpful to all our viewers, I'm sure, by helping them break down, what exactly is needed when you go ahead and buy that health insurance policy for the very first time.
Sure. Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you for having me here.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.